what did you find that there were phases? I'm just curious. Did you have to go through, not maybe have to, but did you go through some phases where you got a little bit puffed up, a little, hey, look at me, I'm big time here. I'm Viking, 18 years with Viking. I'm head of Egmont. I'm throughout your career. Have you had moments where maybe your ego got just a little bit too big and had to come back, or?
Oh God, yes, yes. In my world, I'm a Leo. I think that, I'm not really convinced that the world isn't secretly revolving around me. So I'm always getting kicked in the ass with what's the truth of life. But yes, I would say yes. I got fired at Simon & Schuster, which isn't unusual. A lot of people get fired at Simon & Schuster. And, but it was still hard to go through. And then I got laid off at Egmont, although Egmont, didn't work. So those things are both, really hard to go through, really hard. But the only part that it didn't really change how much I loved the books or anything like that. It sort of, I would say at Simon & Schuster, I wasn't, I was hired by someone to do a certain kind of job. And when she left, I was no longer really a fit for what they needed. And I have some regrets that we didn't make Egmont into a big major publishing player and it didn't stick around. It was a great company to work for.
Well, have you noticed with either yourself or with all the editors you've known, are there phases in an editorial career where you can maybe, I know anecdotally in finance business, we could spot somebody who's in their second, third year. Oh, look at this person. They think they've got the market figured out. They're feeling good. They've just had a great trading day. That's somebody that's going to crash. Have you found that there are phases where somebody would get too egotistical, or conversely get to a point where they say, well, I'm terrible. This book I knew would do well, didn't do well, and so I must question all of my judgment, and I'm just awful for now?
God, what an interesting question. I would say there have been a few people who were so talented early on that you could tell that they were going to go far, that they were going to be great. And they were always people who put a lot of work in as well. Karen Lotz, who's the publisher of Candlewick and Walker Worldwide, I worked in the same building in her. I worked for Viking and she worked for Dutton, but I remember that she worked till like 3 a.m. and she was so smart and she did all this stuff. And I thought, well, she could run this company. And, she did end up running a company. But if your question is, in finance, we know people are going to get bit in the ass. I think something happens where people do get hot hands and suddenly you have a couple of big books and everybody wants to send manuscripts to you because they think you have great taste and also the company's behind you and they're backing your book. So and that can be hard to impact. It can be hard sometimes to get on the first round of really hot submissions lists, but I think there's, as I've mentioned, these younger editors at Holiday House, they're selling Moorbridge and Maura Couch, who are doing these amazing books. Maura is an associate editor, and she did a book called Brother's Keeper this year that's gotten 4-star reviews, and it's an extraordinary story of a brother and sister escaping North Korea. And I think that now that Maura's had this really high-profile book, she's finding herself getting a lot more manuscripts. So that's what you see. You see someone get a hit, and then people submit to that person, and it's kind of nice to watch it, actually.